Jim Banks, who also sits on the House Armed Services Committee. He served in the Navy Reserves as well. So I have a lot of questions for you on both these fronts. Let's start with Iran and what's happened there. There are a lot of calls for this administration, and you'll get a briefing on Wednesday, but for the president to come forward and more forcefully explain to the American people what the imminent threats were, as much as you can with the classification issues, and where we go from here. Do you think this administration has articulated a strategy for Iran?
I believe the administration's position toward Iran has been very clear from the outset of the administration. The actions last week shouldn't have been a surprise to anyone in taking out a bad actor like Soleimani. But the administration made very clear from the outset that there's an economic aspect of the strategy, there's a diplomatic aspect of this strategy, and there's a military aspect of the strategy. And the military aspect of the strategy is to take out bad actors like we did last week, but the economic sanctions remain in place, and the diplomatic efforts continue, as well as the administration tries to bring Iran back to the table to negotiate a deal that prevents them from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
You know that many of the president's critics have questioned that, this use of maximum pressure. Senator Rand Paul, who aligns with the president on some things but not on all, he has said he thinks that the killing of Soleimani actually closes the door on diplomacy as well. Others across the aisle say, how can you expect them to come to the table when you've just taken out someone that was such an important part of their military structure? How do you respond to that?
It's clear to me that taking out Soleimani probably does more to diminish the prospect of war than anything else that this administration has done. It was the appropriate action towards someone who had literally had blood on his hands, American blood on his hands, of an American contractor last week, of American troops who were injured because of the activities of Soleimani himself. If we were to ignore those actions and not do anything at all, we would be inviting others to do harm to America or to our interests. We simply can't allow that to happen. That would be pacifism. And this administration, while it's not the type of administration that wants us to get us into another war, it's certainly not a pacifist administration either.
Okay, so you have been busy prior to the holidays getting your part of the portion done on articles of impeachment. The House has passed them. The Speaker has not sent them over to the Senate yet. There's a lot of back and forth about what will happen there. In the meantime, former National Security Advisor John Bolton has said, if the Senate subpoenas me, I will show up. The House Intel Chairman Adam Schiff, who obviously was a leader of what was happening over during the House impeachment, says this: Bolton's an important witness to misconduct involving Ukraine that he called a, quote, drug deal. Bolton refused to testify in the House following Trump's orders. Now he's willing to come forward. The Senate must allow testimony from him, Mulvaney, and others. The cover-up must end. Do you think Bolton should testify?
I think if he is called to testify, he said that he would. I don't have a problem with that. But if he's going to testify, we should subpoena Hunter Biden, Joe Biden. We should subpoena Adam Schiff as well to come before the Senate Judiciary Committee to testify. Now, it goes to show how sloppy this House process was from day one, when Mr. Bolton also said in the same breath that he was never compelled to testify during the whole entire House process. So the very fact that that's the case, and now the Democrats want him to testify, shows how much of a sham the process was throughout the entire couple of months that we dealt with this in the House.
You think the articles come over soon?
I don't know. I don't know what game Speaker Pelosi is playing. I can tell you, just getting back to Washington from Indiana, everywhere I went, Hoosiers saw the audacity and the ridiculousness of Pelosi holding up this process from moving to the Senate. It just goes to show the American people are sick and tired of this. They want Congress to get back to work on issues that matter and move off of the impeachment issue, which they know isn't going to go anywhere in the Senate.
There is some fatigue showing up in the polls. So we'll see what the next step in this process is. Congressman, thanks for coming in.
Great to be here.
Have you.